Welcome to the best of high school sports in Northern California. We are MaxPreps Sacramento, powered by SMUD.
And we're going to bring you all kinds of girls and boys basketball. It's big time. It's that time of season. High school basketball hoops with the playoffs just around the corner.
Welcome back for another edition of MaxPreps Sacramento, powered by SMUD. I'm Mike Finnerty, joined as always by Joe Davidson, the Sacramento Bee. Joe, basketball season continues right along. League play, things are heating up, I'd say. And you and I just are continuing to get out and see some of the top teams in the area, the top players. And before we did this taping, I got to talk to you real quick. You got here and you said, Mike, I saw Mackenzie Forbes, point guard for Folsom, and she is impressive. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, when you just led off the segment, you say, hey, some of the best girls basketball teams, boy basketball, not just in the area, in all of Northern California. And with Sleep Train Arena in Sacramento, the host site for the Sac Joaquin Section Championships, Northern California Championships, state championships, we're going to see a lot of these people all the way through. And Mackenzie Forbes, wow, she's a 6-foot sophomore guard who plays big, plays smart, can handle the ball. How do you take the ball away from her? And I finally figured it out. You just take your forearm right up to her shoulder and just drive her into the wall and then get the ball, deal with the foul there. That's the kind of skill set that we have out there. In this show, we're going to talk about the Oak Ridge Trojans up in El Dorado Hills. They're up in El Dorado Hills, just up the road from Folsom. This is a juggernaut program, won a state championship 2010 with Coach Steve White. They are monstrous and formidable again, so we'll break them down. Top ranked by the Sacramento Bee, the Sacramento Dragons. We'll talk about them and all kinds of stuff. And then a big-time Impact high school football coach in Northern California is on the move, stunning move. What happened, why it happened, where he's headed, what it means.
And we'll talk about that in our Placer Title Company Insiders. We'll also bring our Mikuni Sushi trivia question, as we always do. But we're going to start the show with our highlights. We're going to start off with the boys. It's McClatchy playing host to Sac High. We head out to McClatchy High School for a Metro League matchup. It's the host Lions taking on one of the area's top teams, the Sacramento Dragons. With Sac High's Solomon Young not suited up for this one, the game was a battle early on, and it was McClatchy that would hold the advantage behind several big plays from A.J. Wood, whether it was outside or inside. Now, with 2 minutes left in the first quarter, Kyle Fuji is going to put the Lions up 12-6. And that lead would climb to 17-8 with Elijah Canales finding Wood inside for another 2. In the second quarter, the Dragons picked it up. They picked up that pace and were able to make it a 1-point lead at the half, 23-22. And although the second half was another battle, Sac High would be good enough to prevail with an 18-11 fourth quarter and take it by a final 48-41 and remain unbeaten in league at 7-0 and 18-1 for the season.
All right, the Sacramento Dragons, they just look the part. Even with Solomon Young not playing, formidable team. Of course, Solomon Young is their 6'7", powerful wing player, forward, center. Plays so hard, so competitive. He's going to Iowa State on a scholarship. Christian Terrell is a 4-year starter as well. Andrews and so many different players. Coach Derek Swafford just wrote about him in the Sacramento Bee. He's a big Papa Bear. He's the menacing, glowering, towering guy. But the players say, oh yeah, but you know what, Coach Swafford on the team bus, he's our lovable Papa Bear. He's driven, he's focused, he wants the best out of this team. They think they could be a CIF state championship team, Division II in the Sac Joaquin section level, probably going to be an open division team, which means it's the elite of the elite. Good-looking team, very formidable. Lost to Moreau Catholic on Martin Luther King Day. No shame there. Martin Luther King showcase at Cal has the best against the best. Moreau Catholic is a heavyweight out of Hayward. Those teams may see each other in the open division playoffs. So the Dragons, you saw them. What'd you think?
Impressive again. Solomon Young not playing, so really hard to get a good feel. But they're one of the best.
You want your money back, huh?
Yeah, they want my money back. I talked to Coach Swafford back during the football seasons. We'll always see each other then, and hey, how's the season coming up? What do you think? And how many more years do you have left? And he always says, yeah, I got a couple more. Every year it's the same answer. I got a few more. I got a few. Well, the problem is he gets good freshmen coming in, good sophomores, and you just got to stick around.
He says 2 more years. Yeah, 2 more seasons. Of course, he said that for about 10
exactly.
years. But he's exhausted. He said, I'm 63, I've lived a good life, and wrote a great story, if I don't say so myself, on Derek Swafford in the Sacramento Bee. And this is, in a nutshell, it's worth a read. in his 20s, he was a high school dropout. Then he flushed out of college. He just wanted to party. He lived in a van, not down by the river, but down by the beaches in Southern California. And he just said, hey, I just wanted to live life and have a good time. And then he ran into a businessman who said, you need to do something with your life. You're a smart guy. Got into college, became a leader, student body president, got advanced degrees. He said, I got hooked. So when he preaches education, he speaks from experience.
Yes.
Got back into college at 24 years old.
Very impressive.
Kind of like me and you. Huh?
Yeah, he's an achiever for sure. All right, Joe, we do have more teams to cover in this show. On our next game, we've got Lyndhurst taking on Capital Christian. Next up, we have a tilt in the Golden Empire League with league-leading Capital Christian. The Cougars on the home floor to take on the Lyndhurst Blazers out of Olivehurst. Credit to Olivehurst. They kept this game close in the first quarter, but it wouldn't last for long. Tegan Jones of Capital Christian, watch this. He's going to get the ball and head up court, take it all the way for a tough basket and a 4-point lead. From there, it was guys like Micah Filer knocking down open shots. Plus, the Cougars would go inside as well to Christopher Reet. Tough matchup in the paint. And how about Austin Alexander doing his part inside as well for Capital Christian? That bucket there would build up a double-digit lead. The Cougars would coast to yet another easy win, improving a 4-0 league play, just a half game up on West Campus.
All right, Mike, in an up year for high school basketball in the Sac Joaquin section, you certainly have to talk about the Capital Christian Cougars in Sacramento. They're so good, I get tongue-tied. Went to the state championship last year in Division 4, lost Justice Shelton Mosley to graduation. He's at Harvard now, one of the great leaders. So Capital Christian trying to find out, do they have leaders? And I think they do in Tegan Jones, son of Coach Devon Jones, and monster schedule. They play up. This is going to be a very formidable team in Division III section play. What'd you think of them? They're certainly athletic, big, balanced. It's a very talented team.
You used the word balance. I think that's what it was. I saw some bigs on that team, very impressive. Saw some nice shooting. They can attack the basket. They did a little bit of everything. Yeah, we talk about Capital Christian every year because they win section championships and they're always there. It's sleep training, so they're going to be there again.
Yeah, and Austin Alexander is a transfer from Kennedy in South Sacramento, and 6'6", 6'7" guy. He's a big boost there. Trying to learn his way there, and once he gets going, they're going to get going too.
Yep. All right, Joe, more highlights. We've got the girls to show you. A nice little Sierra Foothill League matchup with one of the best teams in the area, Oak Ridge, going to Granite Bay to take on the Grizzlies. Another team we got to see last week was the Oak Ridge Trojans, a team that has state championship aspirations every year. And on Friday, they played at Granite Bay to take on the Grizzlies, and this was a rout from the beginning. You've got Oak Ridge's Laura Soper knocking down this jumper to put the Trojans up 24-7 late in the first quarter, and that would be followed by this triple to up the lead to 27-7. Second quarter action now, more Soper from outside. She was a tough matchup for the Grizzlies all night long. When it wasn't Soper, it was Sydney Crozier making plays like this to Brianne Gross. Oak Ridge would go on to cruise to an 87-44 win, improving to 6-0 in the Sierra Foothill League, 19-1 overall, while maintaining its one-game lead over the Folsom Bulldogs.
All right, Mike. Oak Ridge has been a powerhouse in so many sports over the years, including girls basketball. We mentioned it earlier in the show. 2010 CIF State Division I champions. Coach Steve White has been there a long time. And in this era of transfers, where kids are coming and going, Southern California, the Bay Area, even in Sacramento area, in his 12, 13 years at Oak Ridge, they've had 0 transfers. And it's good. I think it's great. And here you have another team. They got some bigs. They got some shooters. It's another typical, superbly coached, well-conditioned, hungry team that looks like it could be in the state finals.
You said everything I was going to describe them. Joe, I was really impressed. I knew last year that they had some youth coming up. I remember talking to them and doing a feature on them, and that youth is playing now. They are scrappy.
Sophomores doing big things.
Yeah, they're scrappy. They're tough. They have great shooting. They got a big. They got some guards. Anytime Steve White is running that team, they're going to be competitive. And again, you hate to say it again, we're going to see them at Sleep Train, I'm sure.
Absolutely. We may see them over 3 weekends. Section finals, Northern California.
They're legit.
Championships and state finals. And it's interesting when young players play beyond their years, and that's what's happening with Oak Ridge. He used to coach boys basketball in Southern California, moved up here, El Dorado Hills years ago and has enjoyed coaching the girls, and I think it's great. Sometimes coaches do that, and they say, well, what was I coaching the guys for? So he's a champion, got another championship team.
Yes, he does. All right, Joe, that concludes our highlights, but our next segment coming up, we got plenty more to cover. Also later in the show, we'll have our Placer Title Company Insiders. We talk about a high school football coach that's moving on
big time,
to the collegiate
big
ranks.
Name, who's moving on, what it means, and how it happened.
This is your RAM Auto Update.
Just in, the classic term used car is old-fashioned, outdated, and no longer of any particular relevance. Let's party. The Roseville Auto Mall is throwing a massive factory-certified pre-owned sales event. That means incredible savings on just about every kind of car in the world. All factory certified. It's happening now. It's going fast. In layman terms, skedaddle. The Roseville Auto Mall, driven to be the best.
Welcome back to the best of high school sports in Northern California. We are Max Prep Sacramento, brought to you by
SMUD, the Sacramento Municipal Utilities. You did the head nod, Judge. That's because we've got the sign
Thought I had
here.
back spasms or
Our
something.
terrific title sponsor, SMUD. All right, Joe, second segment here. We want to talk a little bit of National Letter of Intent Signing Ceremony Day, which it's a day we like, and especially, the big day for everyone is the football day. This one come up here in February. As always, and like it's been the last several years, we've got some big names. We got some guys. Football, and we talk about this almost every week. It's big time here, and we're getting the recruits.
Yeah, and the biggest name in the Sac Joaquin section, maybe all of Northern California, he's already moved on, and that's Jonah Williams, a man, earth mover for the Folsom Bulldogs. He's a left tackle, just one of the most dominant players I've ever seen, maybe the best lineman I've ever seen. He's already enrolled at Alabama. So he's on the fast track. Trey Green of Folsom is going to sign with Cal Poly, and that's about it right now.
Yeah.
As of this taping, there could be more. It's hard to get those scholarships. Del Oro, CIF state champions in Division II, Trey Udofia. He of the great speed, stretches the fields, also playing basketball, so good for him. He will sign with Colorado. Lamar Jackson is now rated as the #1 safety in America in high school football for Franklin High School in Elk Grove. Could be Nebraska, we're not sure. He's got everybody in the world looking at him, and he's playing basketball this season, which I think is great. So multi-sport. So there's just a couple of names. Antelope High School's got a few guys. Montel Aaron's going to Temple. They're going to have a couple other guys move on as well. So another good year, another solid haul of players.
And Jack Haney, small school football, Capital Christian. He plays tight end and linebacker, but he is going to Washington. He's committed to Washington State. He's a long snapper. And we talk about how unique they are. It's a niche spot. He's a big guy, and he trains. He trains as a long snapper.
Let's go back 30 years. Paul Wolf was a high school football star as a lineman at Davis in Yolo County, and he wasn't getting much scholarship interest, and his coach, Dave Whitmire, then said, let's show film of you long snapping. Washington State took him, same school, and he later became a college coach. It really paved his career. So if you can long snap, do it. Because it's a skill set that might make a difference because it's so hard to get football scholarships.
Do you think you and I could long snap?
Go over the
Eligibility?
goalposts, yeah. But, Elk Grove went 13-1, no scholarship football players. Yeah. Folsom went 14-1, one or two guys. Del Oro wins the CIF state football championship, one guy. It's not because there's lack of love. That's what everybody's favorite term. Yeah. There are thousands of high school football players, tens of thousands of high school football players scrambling for hundreds of scholarships. So, you know what? The numbers never add up. It's not that these areas are getting overlooked. That's how competitive it is. Yeah. It's just the way it is. That's why they go to junior college. That's why the junior colleges are so stacked. Ryan Roberts is going to play baseball at UOP. He's the all-purpose marvel for Elk Grove football. Grant may have a couple scholarship guys as well as we think about it, but we'll be all over that in the coming weeks.
Yep, and we'll actually have a bonus show dedicated to Letter of Intent Signing Day. You and I will do two shows that week, one our regular show, basketball and such, and then we'll do a big blowout show, interviews, coverage.
Why it matters, what it means,
yeah.
and those kind of things. And one thing we will not focus on, as we have a little rant here, is it's a growing trend where parents, I know you mean well, but sometimes you overly mean well, where kids who are walking on and they want them at these signing parties so they could sign, so they could feel part of the party, the feel good, only they're signing blank pieces of paper. Coaches don't like this. media, we think it's a little silly. Understand what the parents are thinking. Oh, but a walk-on is not a scholarship.
Yeah, yeah,
and means nothing. You don't have anything. So that's where it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And some area high schools, all of California, they'll compete. We got 15 kids signing. And then another one goes, well, we have 16. Never mind that. Never mind that. 5 of them are blank pieces of paper.
yeah, I know.
So at the end of the show, we're going to sign a letter of intent.
Yeah, right.
We're going to commit to doing more of this.
I have blank paper everywhere.
I got it right here on the floor.
All right, Joe, halfway through this show, plenty more to come. We're going to talk about that area high school football coach who's moving on to the collegiate ranks, part of our Placer Title Company Insiders, and we'll have our Mikuni Sushi trivia. Stick around.
Thinking about whether a solar power system is a good fit for your home or not?
Here, try this instead.
SMUD can help. If you've got questions, SMUD's got answers. Check with SMUD before signing a contract. Visit smud.org/solaranswers.
All right, back with more fun, insight, flavor, and personality. Noise and nonsense. Yep. We are MaxPreps Sacramento, brought to you by our good friends from SMUD. That's right.
This time Sacramento Municipal Utilities
Love
District.
SMUD, appreciate SMUD. They understand our vision, back the show, and we're nowhere without them.
That's right. All right, Joe. Placer Title Company Insiders, we love this spot every week. We either bring you some news and notes or we talk big picture about a particular subject. And this week it's going to be a news and a note, or just a note. So here's this week's Placer Title Company Insiders.
Big news last week in high school football for all of Northern California, maybe for the whole state in general. One of the most innovative, creative, great guru offensive minds, difficult to contend with, is Troy Taylor from Folsom High School, co-coach, juggernaut program there. He is leaving the program, leaving in February to go to Eastern Washington of the Big Sky Conference, which includes Sacramento State and UC Davis. And this is big because Folsom went 16-0 in 2014 CIF state championship, several 14-1 seasons. He's not bored with those 14-1 seasons, mind you. He's ready for a new challenge, and he wasn't networking for jobs. This came towards him, and it's at a point where maybe I need to listen, and I'm going to go. And he had a strong reference to the Eastern Washington staff by Chris Peterson, who's from this region in general, and Peterson is the excellent football coach at Washington. Troy Taylor will be missed, but his co-coaching buddy, Chris Richardson, says at Folsom, we wish him well. I mean, this guy is really good. So you enjoyed watching him. We enjoyed talking to him. Great coach. He's delighted with what he did, 14 years at Folsom. It's good to chase another challenge, and he's got one. He's going to be the offensive coordinator and the co-offensive coordinator, quarterback coach for the Eagles up in Cheney. They play on a red field. Yeah. So he's going from the blue field to the red field. And you know what they call that field? The Inferno. So they're a powerhouse.
Okay, I got some questions for you. All right. How long has he been considering moving up to the next level? Did you find that out? And do you think this is maybe a stepping stone for Pac-12, maybe pro? Give me your thoughts.
I think he's very focused. Literally, I mean, it's kind of a cliche on what he's doing as a football coach at Folsom over the years. Got a young family here, but it's always good business to listen. Mm-hmm. And he's been tugged at and approached before, but they didn't feel right. They didn't fit. This one fits. This one checks off. And I don't even think he's thinking about the future. I think he's trying to let's make this team better. Yeah. But it won't take long where the rest of the Pac-12 won't say, hey, look at this guy. He's pretty good. He coached at Colorado wide receivers and at Cal as an assistant coach in the 1990s, mid-90s, late 90s. That's a long time ago. So this helps refresh his resume. But Cheney, Washington, up there in the Pacific Northwest, it's a nice place to live.
It's cold.
It's cold.
It's near Spokane.
He's not taking his family with him until the summer. I wrote about him in Sacramento Bee, and he's taking a few belongings with him, but he's not taking the family dog. He said the dog stays until the summer.
Dog would freeze.
Yeah, but Troy Taylor, one of the great football players we've ever seen, quarterback for 14-0 Cordova 1985, set records at Cal. and one of the great football coaches we've ever seen, and one of the great people we've known. So
totally
kudos
agree.
to Troy Taylor. I think he's going to do some good things at the Inferno.
Gentleman, and a great interview, by the way, after every game. Very sharp. Congratulations, Troy. We're going to miss you next year, and good luck at Eastern Washington. That is your Placer Title Company, Insiders Placer Title Company, your title and escrow company in Northern California since the 1970s. All right, Joe, we come back. We got some trivia coming up. Let's knock out the trivia right now.
I'm game.
Let's do it. You got a question?
I'm ready
for us
to go.
week?
All right.
We just come up with this stuff off the top of our head.
Which may not even be accurate. In the spirit of the Sacramento High School Dragons, top ranked by the Sacramento Bee, the boys basketball team, you had them in a highlight earlier. Who's the most prolific single-season scorer in the long rich history of the Sacramento Dragons? And he's a well-known name. He played at all levels.
Okay. They have a lot of them.
They do.
Well, think about that, and if you have the answer, Joe will give that to you when we come back from the break. So we'll have that trivia question answer, and we'll wrap up the show.
This is your RAM Auto Update.
Just in, the classic term used car is old-fashioned, outdated, and no longer of any particular relevance. Let's party. The Roseville Auto Mall is throwing a massive factory-certified pre-owned sales event. That means incredible savings on just about every kind of car in the world. All factory certified. It's happening now. It's going fast. In layman terms, skedaddle. The Roseville Auto Mall, driven to be the best.
Thinking about whether a solar power system is a good fit for your home or not?
Here, try this instead.
SMUD can help. If you've got questions, SMUD's got answers. Check with SMUD before signing a contract. Visit smud.org/solaranswers.
All right, we're back for our fourth and final segment, usually our best segment, so stick around for that. We are Max Preps Sacramento, brought to you by our good friends from
Smud, right here. Smud. All right, Joe. All right, we have covered everything, but we got to get to our trivia question answer, our Makuni trivia question answer. Once you bring that question back up, and I'll see if I can answer it.
All right. In the long history of Sacramento High School boys basketball, they're top ranked by the Sacramento Bee right now. Who is the most prolific single-season scorer in the rich history of that program?
I feel it's a trick question because to me the obvious answer would be Kevin Johnson.
Reuben Kincaid.
Who?
No, I'm just kidding. No, it is Kevin Johnson.
Okay,
1983,
okay.
He led the state in scoring. I thought I'd throw a Reuben Kincaid. I love that name. Reuben
Who?
Kincaid. Yes, that's what I was looking for. Kevin Johnson, 1983, led the state of California in scoring, 33 points a game. Went on to play at Cal. In the NBA, is now the mayor of Sacramento. But I thought maybe people might think it's too obvious.
Yeah, I thought it was a trick question.
Do you like my Reuben Kincaid?
You really threw me with Reuben Kincaid. All right, Joe. As we mentioned earlier in the show, letter of intent signing ceremony ceremonies next week. Always a big day. Football's the headliner, and we talked about some players to maybe watch for. We've got league games are big. Like, hey, just a couple weeks ago in girls side, Sac High played McCatchy. So we got those types of games coming up.
Yeah, we do. And one more thought on letter of intent. This is also the season of cutthroat college football recruiting. Bo Bisharat from Jesuit was all ready to go to Stanford, was excited, went down for an official visit on the farm down in Palo Alto at Stanford. Family went in there and paid about $1,000 of team apparel in a team shop, and then he finds out, no scholarship. They've moved on because that's what happens. And so he's back on the market. He's looking at Arizona State and other programs. He will land. He's a big-time player. But these things happen. They only have so many scholarships. It happens across the country. You know, everybody kind of marvels and laughs at Jim Harbaugh. He climbs trees and he's staying at recruits' house. Yeah, it's fun stuff. He's also yanked scholarships, and he won't talk to the kid. And there's, it's a cutthroat competitive deal. These colleges don't have 50 scholarships. They have 80-man rosters, but they only have maybe 18 to 22 scholarships to hand out.
It's tough, and
so,
it's tough on both sides because there's players who leave the team in a lurch, and they do it back. So
and colleges recruiters tend to over recruit. You may be looking at 5 guys at one linebacker spot. Well, they're not going to get all 5 of them.
Yeah. And
so if they get 3 of them to commit, well, we can only take 2 of them. So it's a tough deal. Sometimes the kids look bad when they pull their offer. When they decommit. Sometimes the colleges look bad, but that's competition, and sometimes it's not fun.
And you might as well get used to the cutthroat now, because as you move up the levels, it's only get more and more cutthroat. Joe, when I think February, which is just around the corner, I also think of baseball and softball and spring sports starting up. They'll be, practicing here soon. It's really hard to think about, because then we just end the football season.
It's a blur. The seasons just blend together now. High school football used to be 10 weeks, and then they added the section rounds. And then they added the NorCal rounds or the Southern California rounds, and then the CIF state rounds. We think it's a great thing to have it. So now it's a 16-week season. So when football ends, you're already in the meat of basketball. Yeah. And basketball, the last game will be at the end of March at Sleep Train Arena, the CIF state championships. Well, spring sports are already in full blow.
Oh, yeah,
so
for almost a month.
They all overlap now.
Yep, yeah, well, before you know it, spring will be here. All right, Joe, another packed show, basketball heavy, of course. Try to sprinkle in some football and some news and notes as well. But we'll have plenty on Letterman 10 signing ceremony in the coming week or so. So, folks, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.